G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a Magnum pistol. This is a standalone high-caliber hand cannon type weapon designed to be an endgame option for your gunslinger characters. It's based on a real-life Desert Eagle prototype, so this thing doesn't have all the curves that you'd expect out of a Desert Eagle, but it does look pretty spot on to what the prototype originally looked like. Now, this thing uses the same animations as a 10mm pistol for reloads, which means the slide will just go back by itself during a reload, which is always fun. It also utilizes the sounds from a vanilla game. It uses the 44 Magnum sounds, which makes sense, unsuppressed, because, you know, we're firing the same round. Don't worry about that. That's just the mouse disconnecting, and a reminder to restart my computer before I start shooting stuff. Otherwise, that'll keep happening. It also uses the suppressed sounds of a hunting rifle, I believe, to give it a little bit more punch than your standard, 10mm or possibly other assault rifle suppressed noise. So I think that works out pretty well. Now, there's like so many Deagle mods on the Nexus already, including many COD ports, so I'm wondering what this thing is going to do, or if it's going to distinguish itself from the rest. Is this thing going to stand out, or is it going to fade in with all of the other possibly superior Deagle mods? We'll just have to see. But for now, let's upgrade this thing. So first of all, what we want to do is adjust our receivers. Now, just like the 44 revolver in this game, there's only 4 options for the receivers, and the advanced one is going to be your strongest, so that'll be nice and powerful there. We can throw a long light barrel on to extend our range out even further, and for some reason, well, I suppose it is a little bit heavier than the short barrel, but that a little bit of extra range is going to be pretty helpful. At gun nut rank 1 we can get that, so that's pretty good. Keep in mind that I've got all of the gunslinger perks already, and that already boosts your range when it comes to using semi-automatic pistols, so 197 is actually well below average, so you might have to get close for this thing to actually get it to work, especially if you haven't invested in your gunslinger perks just yet. We'll go for a marksman grip here for exceptional recoil and hipfire accuracy. Why not? Gives us a little bit of extra accuracy on the weapon card as well, and a large magazine means less reloads between firing, better DPS over an extended period. Now, we've got standard sights now. There's also options for reflex sights, which you'll mount on the top there. No Picatinny rails here. You can also grab a scope on this thing as well, which I think is kind of neat. We might want to check that out a little bit later, but for now, we'll just go for a basic hollow sight there. This one's a little bit closer to where your eye is going to be, so that might be slightly easier to aim with the hollow sight. Now you can throw on some compensators to reel in that recoil a little bit, muzzle brakes, flash hiders as well. That one doesn't give you any penalties for your range, unlike the recoil compensating and the muzzle brake ones. There's also a heavier compensator there, which doesn't appear to give you any problems with that too. Also adds a little bit of a extra thingy there. Is that stabilization? Probably. There's also bigger muzzle brakes, increases your accuracy, which is fun. There's also a gigantic suppressor here. That appears to be like a shotgun salvo suppressor. So that's nice, giving us 290 damage and a suppressed hand cannon option for endgame. That's pretty good. If you don't want to go too far out of the realm of what's lore friendly, then you can probably say this is a pretty good weapon mod. But if you are a fan of these weapon mods that are, let's say, lorely ambiguous, then maybe you might find better options out there, but the suppressor will throw that on. And of course, legendary modification gives us a option for that. You can make this thing chambered in 5.56 with the M4 carbine. That's not like any mods, that's actually from the that's from Far Harbor, that chambered version, 5.56 chambered combat rifle that you find next to the robot called Kai or something. Anyways, that's there. And there's also a slot for materials. This is your standard Creation Club slot that all vanilla games get. Just hasn't been deleted on this one. It doesn't do anything for you at all. It's just there. Anyways, that's one of our Magnum pistols. Let's show you get them, and then we'll get started. So this weapon will start appearing in the wasteland around level 25. I'm here at Clears, evidently, and there's just one Magnum pistol right here. Too easy. We'll grab that. Thank you. 60 caps for that. That's a bargain. Alright, quick comparison time. So the Western Revolver is your strongest per shot damage gunslinger weapon when it comes to vanilla game, although you could argue that it's DLC, this weapon, but it's pretty much the same as a 44 Magnum, but stronger. 332 damage, the suppressed advanced Magnum pistol, 305. Yes, the damage is higher on the Western Revolver, but it's a revolver. It's a single action, so you got to pull that hammer back every time, and so your DPS will be way less than this thing. So I feel like in terms of balance, this thing is going to be quite good. I've also made this one here. It's got the fancier grip, which improves the critical shot damage, so that's nice. And also that one with iron sights. Alright, welcome back. This is Immersive Gunners Plaza. Here is my reflex sight suppressed version of the Magnum pistol. Yep, it's got a little chevron there to aim, and if you're not quite sure where that is, you've got a big line down the center to give you a little bit of a hand. The next one I've got is a scoped version, which uses a standard vanilla game TV scope. So it's, you know, it's a little bit of tunnel vision, but it's not as disorientating as the see-through scopes or anything like that when you're aiming down sights. That's fine. Chances are that not a lot of players would end up using the scope anyway, but it's a nice thing to have. This is the reflex sight, and of course this one, iron sights, which, unless I'm shooting at something that is a different color than these dark sights, then, I mean, I feel like there could have been like a glow sight option on that one, just to make sure I can aim when I'm using this thing, because in darker places, like, you're not going to be able to see that. I can't see that right now, so we'll just have to eye off the middle of the screen, I suppose. But let's begin. We'll start off by sniping as usual. We've got a little bit of range on this thing. Of course, using this thing at this sort of range is going to be not as efficient in terms of just the damage we're getting, because the range at this stage is going to be, well, we'll only be doing about half of the damage. You can tell just with VATS that this thing is going to be, well, inaccurate, but I'm guaranteeing those shots with criticals, so I suppose that'll have to do. I don't want to deal with those hatchlings at the moment. Oh, I've only got 2 shots. Well, I'll have Gun Fu giving me a little bit of extra for next one. Nice. Ah, the mysterious stranger showed up. That gives us a nice little sneak peek as to what's actually around us. And let me just preserve my AP if I can. Okay, I think they've found the mantis, so he goes down. And there might be... I think there might be a thing as well. I think it's bullet time, VATS time. There we go. When in doubt, bullet time it, I suppose. Was that cheap? Sure was, but that was awesome. I've still got more AP to go. I'm thinking I've got like a Grim Reaper sprint that's happening that I can't quite see, but yeah, okay. Having the ability to use a suppressed handgun is, or hand cannon, I suppose, is just massive. So we've really capitalized on exactly how much damage we can do, but I think it's time to finally move up. It's not like the AP cost for the scoped version was too bad either. That's one of the strengths of pistols in this game, is they're very efficient on VATS. Even their higher caliber versions are really good as well. And I haven't really been firing this at its full capacity yet either, so if I do run up close and start hitting them as fast as possible, well, it's going to kill them pretty fast, which is nice. Oh yeah. And the massive ammo capacity we get as compared to your revolvers in this game, it's pretty impressive. Okay, I'm gonna go over here now. He's throwing grenades at me. Let's go over to our fancy gripped one. We'll get a little bit closer. Looks good. Okay, I've got no crits. We can change that by farming shots off this guy's head, and that is so very efficient. Look how many shots we're getting. Perfect. Alright, that's really good news, because, well, that's one of your main sort of tools to get damage when in a gunslinger build, because you simply, well, most of the cases, just don't have the power to blast really fast or to get a whole lot of high DPS, because your revolvers are slow firing and everything. Let me just reload this thing properly. But, yep, the mag fed certainly presents a huge advantage that, yeah, we've pretty much... It's a weapon that is built to its strengths. Obviously, it's really good in VATS, and you've got a high rate of fire. So, I think, as an endgame weapon, it feels balanced, it feels good. I mean, you could probably say that the animations, being the vanilla game, are underwhelming and substandard to what you see with many other standalone mods, but they work. The animations work for what it does, and the sounds, I think, work pretty good as well. Let's go over to number 4 now. This is the one with the gigantic compensator and barrel on the front. I gotta say, with this setup, I'm not getting nearly as much jolt on the screen as I'm firing this. Either that or I've just gotten used to it, but that's feeling a lot easier to hold on target. Alright. Knowing we've got lots of power and VATS, we'll just sort of stand vaguely in the middle of these chumps and hit them up. Would have thought I'd be using criticals there, but obviously didn't need them. Yo, this kind of reminds me of there was a secondary pistol on the ISA side in Killzone 1. It's kind of like that because that was very Deagle-like, but it didn't have the massive profile and curvature of the Deagle, and it sort of looked a little bit like this. And the way that weapon handled, it was a extremely high caliber thing. Okay, this thing's starting to fall a little bit behind. If I go over to the suppressed version, that little bit of extra from Ace Operator definitely feels like it does a good job. And now you've made me angry. You don't want to make me angry. You wouldn't like it. Hang on, where's this person? Cowering in the corner, I see. Doesn't even matter if we miss too many shots. We've got another one right in the chamber as soon as the hammer's back, or the slider's back. So, we've done pretty well here. I feel like it's been a pretty clean run, and the fact that we're still going, there's only, what, one left. So, we'll load a critical up, and then try to hit her in the head. Oh, that'll happen to me! Ouch. So, after successful raid on the immersive Gunners Plaza, it is time to take on the Swan, and I've got all the crits back, because reasons, yes. Hopefully, this guy hasn't aggroed the Swan to me. Also, there's someone standing right near him. Who's that? That's a settler. Well, he's going to cause trouble because I'm going to aggro the Swan and he's going to immediately go against the settler. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to shoot this guy so many times. I've used all of the criticals. Hell yeah. Plucking off about 1,000 damage at a time, and now I've got no criticals left. I tell you what, I feel like the criticals were doing a lot less damage than we were ought just now, but what can you do, eh? I'll take that little bit of extra damage, and now it is on for real, which means it's going to be slowing right down. So I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll try to nail headshots, and if I can do this in a way which allows me to hit him really fast, then that'll be the way I do it. A little bit more user input in that than a VATS round, which I think is good. Probably a little bit faster as well. But we're going to have to watch our AP here. Could obviously just do a hit a jet. It'd be the same effect, but I don't have that hotkey. No, not reaching into my aid menu to bring that up. So I think at this stage, whilst he's sort of sitting back there, we'll be able to just plink at him. So maybe we'll just keep on hitting him like this. Get some of these crits back. 364 damage is pretty good. That must be with concentrated fire active as well. Gives you a little bit more damage because we're hitting for 350 in bullet time VATS. Or that could just be because he was closer. Who knows? Alright, now he's just doing... He's trying to cut a jig, is he? Alright, well, you can do that. I'll just keep shooting you in the head. That's 2 crits ready to go for bullet time. 3 crits now. Mysterious Stranger has shown up. Is he gonna... No, he's totally stuck. Okay, that actually dislodged him from his thing there, but now he's going to get lit up by Mysterious Stranger. He had a few shots in, I suppose. Alright, well, that was anticlimactic. You just sort of stood there and took it like a Skyrim mammoth, but the job is done. Let's do this next one a little bit more subtly, I suppose. We'll do that. Also, it works with classic holstered weapons, so you can big iron on this hip thing. I forgot I made Bridget really muscular. Wait, I showed her was a massive. She's got the Gina Carano build going on. Okay, we won't be able to get any sniper knockdowns with this thing, but with many, many criticals, and I've probably chosen the wrong pistol to use here because the scope is going to hurt my AP usage, but we can do this all guerrilla warfare-like. We've got just enough AP to slide behind there. I didn't mean to do that, but I did. Now, we'll use the third-person camera a little bit. Perfect. First shot will be a critical, that's a guarantee. The rest of them we'll just have to pray to Todd Howard RNG. That's better. And a critical. Oop, start sneaking away now. I've got this cover function, this animation mod, and someone told me that cover mod was like really dog shit the other day, like they weren't a fan of it. I don't think I'm technically sneaking anymore. No, I'm not. But that's cool, I guess. Alright, now it's time to fight for realsies. But I've got all of these shots and hopefully criticals. Although I may have used up all of my Todd Howard RNG before. I was hoping for one 4-leaf clover proc out of all of that. Totally whiffed the critical there. That's okay, we can go on to here. I don't usually cower away from this guy, but I kind of need the AP to do this. Not cool, Mylurk. I heard you coming from a mile out. May as well call you Mylurk. Alright. No criticals ready to be used. Not that they would have worked anyway. I think the hitboxes screwed me over there. There's a little other baby Mylurk. Surprisingly resistant to all of those shots that I was doing. Hitting right at the carapace. Alright, that should be good enough at this stage. Look at him. He's trying to take cover in the crate somewhere. You know what? I've never seen him run out there before. That's probably the first time he's done that. He ran so far out that he lost me due to, you know, being in caution. But yeah, I think that pretty much does it. I think you get the idea. Oh, there's gunners over there. Let's finish this off with a little bit of gun feel action, shall we? The more the merrier. We'll just add that random thing there. Turret, turret, turret. And we're back to gunners. Gunner. Gunner again. And we're back to the start. Alright, let's hit him up. Well, there's a difference between sneaking and not sneaking, but we've got a cheap little level up out of that, so that'll be fine. Now, the question is, what do I want to do? Probably kind of outgunned here. And look, this is where you really want to use VATS as a gunslinger because you don't have the firepower to deal with. Well, maybe sometimes you do, it would seem. But especially when they're at range, you get just a huge penalty because of its lesser range. Like I said, you can offset that just by investing in gunslinger, but in moments like this, you would rather have an M249, an M240 Bravo, an M60, hell, even like any automatic rifle with a capacity up to and around 30. But you can make it work. Depends how much you really want to aim for yourself, I suppose, because using VATS there made that whole job far easier than it would have possibly been otherwise.
No one panic! Nuts.
Alright, I think the whole family survived. The turrets are, you know, they can be repaired, so whatever, I don't care about those, but alright, there you go. There was a Magnum pistol, and I feel like this is a pretty well-made mod, all things considered. It's well balanced. The balancing, I think, is extremely good. It feels powerful, but it's not going to drag your enemies from here to the other side of the capital wasteland type of powerful. And the animations, although they could have been custom, they work for what they are, and the sounds also the same thing. The level-less injection works as well, so what more could you want for a lightweight Deagle mod that is more lore-friendly than all of your tactical Deagle mods that you see out there? That's another thing that I sort of haven't mentioned about it yet, but you could argue that this one's slightly more lore-friendly because it's a little less, well, if it's from a era where the prototype Deagle was being developed, it's a little bit closer to that 1950s time where Fallout takes this aesthetic, which I completely ignore, obviously. So if you want to see this thing in your game, check out the link in the description. Worth a download if you are interested for a handmade handgun that is powerful for endgame purposes. Well worth a look. Thank you very much for watching, guys.